There we go. Has anybody not had math for 12 weeks? Like wasn't somebody 2.1? Okay, so you guys are pretty much forgot everything at this point. Everybody else is just 6 weeks away. I'll do my best to try to kind of go slow. Oh, you guys, you really aren't going to need the Chromebooks at all. So I set it up so that we'll do everything in class. You will want paper though. And then most days, I'd say it's not going to be much different than earlier this year. Most days we'll be teaching, like say the first half of the hour or whatever it is. And then the second part of the hour, you'll have time to work. So if you're somebody that works quick, there's a good chance you're going to have time each day to do, like other classes or whatever else you want. So whether you're going to play on your phone, whether you're going to do other homework, that's fine. Just know that that's pretty much going to be the plan for most days. Algebra 1 actually works okay on this schedule. Not all the math classes do, but Algebra 1 actually does because we plan time to work regardless. So we should do all right. We'll see how this goes. They switched out my school computer for a new one here at the end of the week. And there's been a lot of glitchy things. So we'll see how this goes. It didn't go great first off. Turn this. Little microphone works. All right, we're working okay so far. So the first thing we're going to do is identifying quadratic functions. And we're going to do that one of two ways. We're either going to be given a bunch of numbers or an actual equation. I don't know, I should go see. Who is this? Is this Grace?
Grace,
Got it.
full of grace.
Okay, Grace, you sit over here. Do you remember what linear is?
Isabel.
Pretend I didn't do that. Isabella, do you remember what linear is?
I don't.
Does anybody remember what linear means? Has it been that long? You purposely put math out of your head. So linear means something's a straight line. That's what we kind of worked with last trimester. And then I think we started doing quadratic a little bit towards the end, if I remember it. So quadratic means we're going to have things that make like a U shape. So if we look at it as a picture, it's in the U shape. So linear and quadratic are different, so we have to identify the difference. If you guys don't even remember linear, maybe I'll just totally start fresh. If we're given a bunch of numbers, first thing we should do is put them in like a table. So we're going to kind of organize the numbers so they go together. So first number is X, second number is Y. Usually when you make a table, you just have like a column for each, but everybody makes them different. So I'm going to do 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9, 4, 16. So I'm going to organize the numbers kind of like that. I should check. Can you guys hear me okay when I'm standing at the board? Oh, there it is. Kinda, yes. Okay. Oh, that's all the problem. We'll try that. Oh. I can't change that. Lower. first thing I want to check to be able to tell if it's quadratic is if my numbers kind of are organized correctly. So if this is a constant difference, so it goes up on each time, like, that's definitely obvious. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, it goes up by 1. But all we really need to do is check to see if it goes up by the same amount. And if that checks, then you go over to check the y's. So the y's are the numbers we actually care about, but we can't look at the y values unless the x are organized correctly. So on the y values, we're going to look how far apart they are. So that one goes up by 1. That one goes up by 3. That one goes up by 5. That one goes up by what is it, 7? The reason I was asking about linear earlier is if these numbers were all the same, okay. Oh, I can't do anything. All right, this is going to be a good hour. If these numbers were all the same, this would be called linear. Well, it'll be right there. Don't have any room to write. I want to scroll down. This is called the first differences. It's basically how far apart your numbers are. I don't have any, I can't write it. To tell if something is quadratic, we're going to look at how far apart these numbers are. So from 1 to 3 is up 2, 3 to 5, up 2, 5 to 7, up 2. If these numbers are the same, this is called the second differences. Then it's quadratic. Probably got to close it. There we go. Now that that completely erased it, I wasn't thinking of that. Does anybody need me to put that information back up there again? Like maybe you didn't get a copy down yet? Did you get part of the right-hand side written?
Oh, yeah, I got that.
Okay, so if I remember right, it was up 1, up 3, up 5. I think that's all the part of it went. And then this is called the first differences. If the second differences are the same, that's what we're actually looking for. So the questions you're going to be asked is it's going to ask you, are these numbers quadratic? Or does this data make a quadratic setting or something, some kind of wording like that? the only way you're gonna be able to check is by looking how far apart the numbers are twice. And it's kind of annoying. I mean, there's no doubt. But you guys, we generally assign homework kind of accordingly. So you're not gonna get too many of these. They're not hard, but they do take a little bit of time to figure out just because there's a lot of little things to do. Is that all you need to try that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The second kind of question is you'll actually just be given an equation. And then you'll be asked if it's quadratic. So the main way you're gonna look is if an equation can be written like this, you have to have a number where A is, and then it'll be called quadratic. We actually don't care about B or C. Like those could be there, but they don't determine if it's quadratic. The A is really the only one that we look for and we care about. So if you can have it written as y equals some number x squared, then it'll be called quadratic. Then I've got one down below that we can try. Ooh, let me scroll. That's really weird. Okay, so we've got y plus 3x squared equals 4. We're asked, is it quadratic? So what we do is we make it try to look like this one to start with. So y equals is really the only part that matters. And if I'm looking at this one, the plus 3x squared is the only thing that's out of place. So I want to move that over. Nora, can you see okay from where you are? Okay. So we can write it as negative 3x squared plus 4. The fact that we have a number on an x squared means it's quadratic. Now, we don't care about any of the rest of the terms. We just care if we have the x squared one. Now, I'm going to kind of, I'll sort of teach this ahead of time because we're going to get it in the coming sections and I don't want it to be difficult when we get there. Whatever number is on the x squared is usually called A. Whatever number is on the x is usually called B. And then whatever number is by itself is usually called C. So you're going to get a lot of formulas that reference A, B, and C. Not, I don't think it's today. I think it's starting tomorrow. But just kind of ahead of time, that's the A, B, and C that you're going to be referred to. I'll bring it up again tomorrow, but like say we're looking at this red one that we wrote. A would be -3. B is the number on the x. This one doesn't have an x, so B would be 0. And then C would be the number by itself, which would be 4. So this whole first section is a lot of little things like this. It's kind of just identifying stuff. It's not terribly hard. It's just a bunch of things. So it's probably a lot more writing than you want. Let me check first. Do you want Do you have it written down? Okay. It looks like it lets me scroll if I erase everything. Okay, next up. You're going to be asked to graph it. And I know some of you hate this and some of you like it. Do you guys feel like you know how to use those graphing calculators on your Chromebooks at all? That's just definitely looked like a no. After we do these by hand, I kind of want to show you how to do it on the graphing calculator, because then like when we get to the test, you're guaranteed to know if you did it right or not. Like you can just type the equation in the graphing calculator and it graphs it for you. And that's the whole reason why they call it a graphing calculator. Okay, we're going to do this like we've done a lot of them in the past, where we make a table. So you can do this anytime you have an equation, you don't know what it looks like. You basically just put down a bunch of numbers and then put them on the graph and see what it looks like. So we're gonna pick the same 5 numbers just to make it easy. We're gonna use -2 to 2. Because those are the smallest numbers to plug in. They're usually the easiest to find answers for. So we use them. We'll definitely learn different ways to graph. But if you have to use a table, we generally try to pick the easiest numbers you can. So I'm going to start with 0. Isabella, do you want to call the next person?
Maybe.
Do you remember? Let's start with 0. Do you remember how to get an answer from the table?
No.
Nothing?
No.
Okay. So the equation we're working with will tell us the answer for y, because the answer for y is going to be double whatever the x is squared and then subtract 1. So if we've got 0, we're going to do 2 times 0 squared and then subtract 1. So I do the squared first, because you guys remember PEMDAS. I do squared first, which is still 0. Then I do the multiply next, which is still 0. Then I do the subtract last, which would be -1. Okay, maybe you think you can help me with the 1?
Kind of.
You have paper if you need it. I mean, like, you don't have to do it in your head.
Okay, so could you help me a little bit?
I absolutely can.
Okay, so
So I'm going to put a 1 in place of x. So 2 times 1 squared minus 1. 1 squared first.
that'd be 2.
That'd be 1 times the 2 would be 2. I think that's what you do.
Yeah.
And then minus 1.
That'd be 1.
1. And this scratch work, you can put it next to the table. You don't have to. I'm just doing that so you guys can see where the answer came from. You want to pick the next person?
Yeah, I'll do Sophie.
You guys are really straying far away here out of your comfort zone. Sophie, do you think you can help me with the 2?
Yeah, so you do the exponent first, so 2 times 2 is 4. And then you times that by 2, which is 8, and then you subtract that, it's 7.
Perfect. So square, you get 4, times 2 is 8, minus 1 is 7. Good. Do you think you could pick somebody that would be more than a decimal weight?
Well, how do you know?
Your choice.
Negative.
-1. We can do that. So 2 times, and then the -1 we kind of put in parentheses so that we don't get it confused. What does that become? So it means times itself. So -1 times -1, positive. Yeah, so that was kind of the reason I wanted to emphasize you do the square first. So -1 squared is actually +1 times the 2 minus 1. Good. Last person.
Ayla?
You threw me off because you changed your hair color for the picture. You want some help on this?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just so you guys know, if you ever get called out or whatever, it's fine if you don't know how to do something or if you want help or whatever, like it's my job. Okay, so I'm gonna square the -2 first. So -2 times -2 will be +4. So like the two negatives together make a positive. So +4 times 2, 8, minus 1, 7. Very nice. So I've got a bunch of numbers. And if you guys need a reminder, actually here. In the table, like that's the point, -27. So the numbers next to each other go together. %, these are going to be the most annoying ones for you to work on. It's by part takes the longest. Which is why we learn other ways to graph them, so that you don't have to do a table every day. So -27 would be 2 left, 7 up. Right about there. -1, 1, 1 left, 1 up. 0, 0, 1. So the good thing about every parabola is they're symmetrical. They're always going to be perfectly symmetrical left and right. What they're not going to do is don't always think they're going to be symmetrical on that line. Like you can have the U shape over there. It doesn't necessarily have to be in the middle. But they'll always be symmetrical, so we're going to use that to our advantage soon. So I'll kind of connect them, and I get a U shape out of it. Good enough. What I really hate is a couple of years ago, I did these drawings, and for whatever reason, I used brown as somebody picked brown as a color, and we had a red point there. And like somebody said it looked like Rudolph, and I 100% see that every time. I hate it. So I actually highlighted that spot for a reason. That's going to be called the vertex. And I don't have a great way of phrasing it other than I call it the tip of the U. So if it's a U, it's the bottom. If it's an upside down U, it's the top. So I usually just call it the tip. I mean, it's called the vertex. So if somebody ever says vertex, you're supposed to know that means the bottom or the top of the U. And then the other thing, which might be obvious for some and might not be for others. If you have a U shape, the vertex is the minimum because it's the very bottom. If you have an upside down U shape, kind of looks like some sort of weird frown face. The vertex is the very top. So that's called the maximum. So when you guys get questions on these, they'll start using a lot of those terms. And if you already understand those terms, it's not a big deal. But I didn't want you guys to have these problems and then not be told any of that information ahead. So I know this is a lot of info. How are we doing with what's up there? I figured it would go okay. Usually the hardest part is this. is like actually typing this stuff in. Do you guys want me to show you how to type this in on the calculator? Are most of you going to be using your calculator probably? Okay, maybe I'll show you how to type it in then. So if you have your Chromebook handy, open it up. If you don't, no big deal. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you have your own, you can just use it. Oh, that's fine. So there's a graphing calculator installed on the Chromebook. That was the only reason I was bringing it up. Oh, I forgot I need the code for that too. God. I guess we'll just do the trial. Hopefully it lets me use the whole calculator. Let me change the sharing. New share. There. Oh, wait. Okay, so there it is. So it was 2x squared minus 1, I think. And we were putting numbers in. So by hand, we did 2 times, what did we do first? I think we did 0 first. The squared button is on the left-hand side, minus 1. And we went through and did that for the rest of them. You guys don't have to type it. I'll just kind of show you the progression. Now, when we got to the negative numbers, I wrote it differently. And so I wanted you guys to kind of see that, because your calculator is going to read it wrong if you don't write it the correct way. Like if I just type -2 squared, your calculator is going to read it wrong. Like this will give you the wrong answer. And that's because it would do the squared on the 2, and then it would multiply by a negative. So when you're doing it on the calculator, you have to type it like this. So you have to put the -2 in parentheses. Oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. When you're doing a negative symbol, use this key on the bottom. It's treated differently than subtraction. If you use a subtraction symbol like you do on most calculators, it'll say error or something like that. That's super loud. Here's how you use the graphing part of the calculator if you guys wanted to see it. On the upper left-hand corner, it says y equals. So you hit that button. And then you're just going to type in the equation we wanted graphed. 2, the x button is up here next to the green one. 2x squared minus 1. And then we can do a couple things with it. So we can graph it to see if we did it right. Oh, you know what? I put my point in the wrong spot. I put it on 0, 0. Nobody yelled at me. It was supposed to be at 0 minus 1. So, but when you hit graph, it'll show you what it looks like. And then if you want to graph a different one, you just hit y equals, hit clear, change the equation, and then hit graph again. It'll show you what it looks like. So when you guys are taking your test, you're not going to have the math MCAs for 2 years, obviously, but you're allowed to use this same calculator on it. So learning how to use them ahead of time is kind of a big help. Now on your Chromebooks, if I remember right, this calculator is like ridiculously tiny, isn't it? Can you read what's above graph? Like it says table. If I hit second table, it actually kind of fills out a table for me. Like if I scroll up, you'll notice that these, oh, what the heck? You'll notice that these 5 numbers are the ones we just figured out. You can have the calculator make a table for you as well. So if you guys are ever, if you ever find an equation kind of hard to work by hand, or like you're not sure if you're doing it right, you can always use this calculator to kind of figure it out for you too. So if I change this equation, like let's say there's a different problem that's 1 minus x squared. I can hit the graph button to see what it looks like. Or I can hit second table and it'll have the table made up for me. And so I could fill out that info right away to graph it by hand. Like learning how to use this definitely helps. You don't have to use it at all, because I know some people, when they look at this calculator, it just feels super confusing to them. And it feels kind of scary to use it. That's fine. Like if you have your own calculator you use, go for it. Oh, what did I do? I hit the wrong one. I want to go back to here. Oh, on the Chromebook? I'm sorry, I didn't even think of that. In that, it's not called the start menu. I don't know what it's called. The button on the left. That circle thing, right? Yeah, I don't know what it's called. I don't have a Chromebook, so I don't. You hit that button, and then there's a search bar there. If you go to the search bar and type TI, yeah, it just comes up automatically. I don't really know why Chromebooks are that way. You actually have a bunch of things installed on your Chromebook that it doesn't show you. But then once you search for it, it pops up. And then once you use it, I think it stays on the bottom until it's, like the last use apps. So yeah, it's on everybody's Chromebook. Oh, good. Now I can change this picture. No, I cannot change that picture. I'll leave it. Let's just pretend I did that picture correct. Does anybody want anything up there? Like, should I wait to erase it? Or questions? Okay. So. I didn't have the code for Smart Notebook, so I had to use this again. It clearly doesn't work great with the Smart one. Okay, this is the last thing. What time did we get out? 15? Okay. I believe this is the last thing. Nope, my fault. Second to last thing. This one, you guys can just kind of choose whatever to write up. So I wrote a lot of information up here, and I think some of you might want to write all of it down. Some of you, if you get the idea, just write whatever you need. But basically, if you want to figure out if the picture is a U-shaped or upside down U-shaped, then you look at the number that's on the A, like the A number itself. So the number that's on the x squared tells you if it's a U or an upside down U. Basically, if it's a positive number, it's going to be U-shaped. If the A is a negative number, it's an upside down U. And it's just that straightforward. So that's why I said this kind of depends on you. That was not an intentional pun. It depends on yourself, whatever you want to write down. You put all your notes in that tiny notebook? Wow. All right. So you'll see I have some examples at the bottom. Ayla, I think you went last.
calling someone?
Sure. That's what I was hoping.
Grace.
Okay. You can keep writing if you want. I was just kind of doing it. Oh, so you're done. So you can pick any one of these three if you want. I just figured you'd go with the first one. So we've got 3x squared plus 4x minus 2. And all we're trying to do is figure out if it's going to open up or open down. Okay? How come you think it's going to open up? You're correct, but okay, the 3 is the only number we need to look at. Because it's positive, this opens up. And if you need to remember which way is called what, up has the actual U in it, down does not. Oh, how do I get that out of the way? There we go. Can you call the next person? The green one, probably. I mean, you can do whichever one you want, but green is next.
Would the green one go down?
Okay, how come?
Because a negative 2x squared is.
Good. Well, that's bad then. So it's negative, so it goes downwards. It opens down. Okay, last person.
If they,
So I don't know if you can read that or not. It's, so the original that we were given was 2x squared plus y equals 5. I rewrote it so that it says y equals 5 minus 2x squared.
be downward.
Okay, perfect. The number on the x is -2, so it would be downward. So we don't care about the 5. You don't automatically read the first thing. You just read whatever numbers on the x squared. Nice. So these questions by far probably took you longer to write down like instructions for than like when you get them on the homework questions. There's nothing to write down. You just look at it and can say if it opens up or down. The hardest part that last trimester had was by the time we got to the chapter test, they forgot a ton of these easy things. So, I mean, like I see majority of you guys writing down notes and that's awesome. That absolutely helps you out because you guys can use your notes on the tests. You can use all that information. Okay, the last thing is domain and range. We did this a long time ago. I'm gonna guess you basically don't remember it at all. So domain, whenever they use that word, it's asking you which X's were used. And if you're given or asked about range, that's asking you which Y's were used. So we're gonna do this from pictures. So you're gonna have to be able to look at a picture and then say which X's are there and which Y's are there. I suppose I can just scroll down to the first picture. There we go. Do your best to try and copy that picture. I got a whole bunch of scribble stuff on there from when I used it last time. And I couldn't erase it without erasing the whole picture. So I kind of left it. This picture is down 3. It's a U shape that's down 3. Garrett, did you just go? Alex, you, that's right. Is there anybody you want to call?
What?
Anybody you want to call?
No.
I don't think we have too many people left. Colin, have you gone yet? Okay, excellent. So we're going to answer domain first. What that's asking you is, if I'm looking at this picture, what's the farthest left that this goes? Like how far does it go to the left? Sure. Whatever's easiest for you to answer, I guess. Oh, does it go on forever?
I don't really understand the question.
Oh, all right. So this picture, it's like the U shape, right? The left-hand side of this picture just kind of keeps going off at an angle. Now, if we're trying to talk about how far to the left it goes, does it ever stop anywhere?
No.
No. So this picture goes to the left forever. It doesn't go straight left, it just kind of slowly goes to the left. And then to the right. How about the right-hand side? I don't know what the number.
No, it doesn't stop.
Oh, okay. So on the right-hand side, it goes forever as well. So on this picture, if we're talking about the domain, it goes everywhere to the left and everywhere to the right. So then we refer to that as all real numbers. So some people like to write that symbol. Some people like to write all reals, something like that. Kind of depends on what you had before, probably. But you can just write that funny R symbol. It's an R with an extra line. Now, the good thing for us oh, did I tell you these were called a parabola? As soon as I started writing parabola, I remember that. This U shape is called a parabola. It's the specific name for quadratic. So every parabola this is very weird. Every single one of our questions, the domain is going to be all reals. Because every U shape will follow the exact same pattern. It'll go forever both ways. The range is the only thing that's going to be different. Hold on, next person. Who hasn't gone yet? Adeline. Because you haven't gotten it, correct? I was just trying to get my head, I was trying to get it straight. So Adeline, when we're talking about the range, we always want to start with smallest to biggest. So if I'm looking downwards, what's the farthest down that goes? Okay, so it stops at -3, where the other one didn't stop anywhere. How about up? It goes forever upwards. So our particular picture is going to be every single number bigger than -3. Now, if you would have had a number and it pointed downwards, then you could say it's less than. So our range is going to be y is greater than or equal to -3, because it's every number bigger than that. And if it's upside down, well, then it's just the opposite. You find the top number, and then you say it's below that. I don't know how much time you guys feel like you need to work. It's usually half hour. Do you guys usually get everything done within a half hour? Okay, because I have some more examples, but I don't know if you need to see them or not. So they're the same thing. I went kind of slow today because, well, number one, we have issues, but two, I wanted to try to get you guys remembering some certain things. So we have until 15 after. if you guys want to work on the assignment till then, that'd be great. Like I said, I know some of you guys will finish it really quick. Some of you guys go slow, but so now that I'm actually back in the room, you guys can come and get help from me, and that's definitely a lot easier. You're also more than welcome to work with each other. You know, all I really care about during work time is that you don't just start goofing around and being loud. Everybody's kind of different on how they work, and I'm okay with that. So I guess we're done with notes. Why don't you guys get started on it? I didn't even check to see if anybody had any questions. What's over here? Looks like no questions. Okay, let's stop the recording.